FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
We are back on the Financial Survival Network, and we've got Joe Messina with us of therealside.com. Joe, how are you?
Very good. How you doing, Kerry?
I'm doing well, but I'm disturbed. I'm really upset because, they locked up Alec Baldwin, and, some people, he's one of them, they just can't catch a break,
Oh, yeah, he can't catch a break. You know what? Maybe there's some kind of medication. Maybe we need to check his meds because you can't go 2 weeks without hearing something about Mr. Tolerant, Mr. Alec Tolerant Baldwin. Yeah, just amazing. Why in God's creation, when you've got cops standing around you, and I don't care how many cameras you got, why do you go off like he goes off all the time? I mean, these guys have got guns. They've got the right to handcuff you. What are you arguing with them for?
But here's the thing. It's like, to arrest somebody in New York City cost like thousands of dollars. Thousands. And then they had to impound his bicycle. God only knows how much that cost. And then it'll probably be damaged, and they'll have a lawsuit against him once he gets it back, or if he gets it back, because getting back your property once they seize it from New York City is a miracle in itself if you can get it back. And he probably had a $10,000 bicycle too, Joe, because, for him to have like a Schwinn, forget it. And, the whole thing is a debacle, and somebody could have gotten killed because a cop should have been there, but they were too busy arresting Alec Baldwin. And then the PR and all the resources they have to devote to handling the press while this prima donna is being processed through the system. And, it's just a total waste of resources. They should have just let him go the wrong way down Fifth Avenue. And if he got hit by a car head on and killed, then you know what? He assumed the risk.
Yeah, but then the loons on the left would be screaming they should have stopped him. They should have wiped his butt and wiped his nose for him, because we know what he's like. It's kind of you can't win or you can't lose in these situations. But this guy consistently goes from zero to teed off in no time whatsoever. We give him we're talking about him this morning. I get that, but we give him way too much time. He needs to kind of die off into the sunset with his career and everything else because and think about what a hypocrite this guy is. He's always talking about the right-wing conservatives and what a bunch of nut jobs they are and how intolerant they are. And every time this guy's had a run-in with the law, it's always the police, right? It's always their fault. It's always something they've done.
Yeah, that's a valid point. He is a total hypocrite. And, he's always on right-wing talk show hosts, especially Sean Hannity. They're so intolerant and, they're stupid and everything else. And this guy just has no clue how to get along in a civil society and how to be tolerant and how to respect others, even the police who are sworn to protect him, no matter how off the wall he is and how antisocial his behavior is.
Yeah, I'm going to say it. I have no tolerance for guys like this. I mean, if you're gonna put it out there and you want the police to act a certain way with right-wing people, then you need to expect that they're going to act the same way with people on the left, people in the middle. But see, I don't care whether I'm in New York, Los Angeles, or Podunk, Iowa, wherever. The bottom line with it is when a police officer pulls you over or wants some information, always. Why go the hard route? Why do we have to do everything the hard way? Give him what he wants. Talk with the guy. Find out what it is you did wrong without an attitude. And you'd be surprised because let me tell you what, buddy, I have a very heavy foot. We'll leave it at that. And, 9.5 out of 10 times, I don't talk myself out of a ticket, but because I show respect for the cop, they usually let me go.
Exactly. You deal with them the proper way and you might get a break. But you deal with them the Alec Baldwin way, and you might just talk yourself into a set of handcuffs. In fact, you probably will.
and a ruined bike on top of that, I'm sure.
Exactly. I mean, could you just picture them throwing it into the trunk and boom, 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 and then slamming the trunk lid on it a few times just to make sure the wheels are bent?
Oh, no problem there. And you know what? Do you think they impound bikes the same way they do cars? It's like $350 a day. I mean, seriously.
Yeah, he'll get a bill for storage, right? Hey,
oh, my God.
Well, he'll get what's coming to him, hopefully, and more.
Yeah.
So what about this story here, Joe, about trying to take away cigarettes from the military? Now, granted, you shouldn't be smoking cigarettes. Maybe they're going to try to give them e-cigarettes for the battlefield, right?
Look, Mr. Soldier Guy. Okay, look, cigarette smoking is bad for you. Tobacco could give you lung cancer. It makes it hard on you. And we're even going to look at them as cheeseburgers because we only have too much cholesterol. Now, getting in front of the bullets and getting in front of the 50 caliber rifles and possibly stepping on a bomb somewhere, that's just part of your job, right?
Yeah.
I mean, think about the hypocrisy behind this. These guys are willing to go out there and stand in the way of bullets and protect people, protect us, fight for our freedom. And we are going to take away their right to smoke. This is just asinine on so many levels. These legislators, they need to get a real job is what it needs to boil down to. Or my thought is let's round up a bunch of them. Let's plop them down in the middle of Afghanistan, and they have to be smokers. Plop them down in the middle of Afghanistan and say, hey, find your way home. And by the way, give me your cigarettes, okay? Because you're going to go through the same anxiety, the same aggravation that these guys who are fighting for us will have to go through. Is this really the only thing our legislators have to think about, is making sure that our soldiers don't have tobacco? Really?
Yeah. It reminds me, Joe, back in the 60s when they wanted to give 18-year-olds the right to vote. And they said, you can be drafted and shipped off to die for your country, but you don't have the right to vote. And now you could be shipped off and die for your country, but you don't have the right to smoke. And already they've taken away 18-year-olds' right to drink. So you could die for your country, but you don't have the right to drink. I mean, what is going on here with these people? I mean, look, there are reasons perhaps why you don't want 18-year-olds to drink. But, the fact is the prohibition against teenage drinking is totally ineffective. I mean, I know, having raised 3 kids, I know every Friday night these kids were either drinking or smoking something or other. So, let's take our heads out from the sand and just admit what's going on here. And if these guys want to smoke or drink or whatever, let's have reasonable restrictions here. And, let's encourage them not to drive and not to have intoxicated driving. That's the main reason why the drinking age was raised again to 21. And the fact is, these guys are going overseas, and let them smoke, right?
Oh, listen, it gets better than that, though, right? One of the soldiers says, look, we sleep in the dirt for this country, right? He quit his job after 9/11 to join the Marine Corps. We get shot at for this country, but we can't have a cigarette if we want to. And then it goes on to say that there was even some talk. You ready for this one? There's even some talk about taking away soda, chewing tobacco, beer, and only serving 2% milk. And are they going to put diapers on these guys? And we're going to put a crew together now to change their diapers for them too? Come on. These guys are adults. They're going out there. They're doing a job. God bless these guys for doing what they do. And we're going to treat them like 11 and 12-year-olds. Again, thank God for the Republican caucus that finally did something right in my mind. They stuck up for these guys. They put an amendment on the table to one of the bills that guaranteed that these guys would still be able to get tobacco, whole milk, get their beer. I have no problem with this stuff. Let them blow off some steam. Leave them alone.
Yeah, well, New York City raised their smoking age to 21. And they didn't exempt soldiers. Right. That was back in November of last year.
So Kerry, that means all 20, 19, and 18-year-olds now are no longer smoking, right? They're not getting cigarettes anymore.
Because it's illegal. And, these e-cigarettes. So I guess they want to give them e-cigarettes. It's healthier for them to smoke e-cigarettes, Joe, right? Is that what? Well,
in LA, they're banning e-cigarettes in the city of Los Angeles.
Yeah.
They don't even know anything about them. I mean, seriously, they had one of the city council members who actually said, we don't know what damage this does or doesn't do, so we have to ban them. Really?
Yeah, well, you have to ban them to find out what's in them, right?
Must be Pelosi's cousin.
Yeah, right. Well, this is modern day legislation, ignorance, legislation by ignorance, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I feel it's wrong. I think it's wrong. I have a hunch it's wrong. Well, good for you. Go ahead and legislate that way because you make it harder than the rest of us. I don't know anything about e-cigarettes. I have some friends that use them instead of regular cigarettes. They say they feel better. It takes the craving away. I don't know, but here's what I do know. I don't know. That's what I know. I know that I don't know, and I'm not willing to make judgment on something I don't have information on. Wouldn't it be great if our legislators took that same attitude?
Yeah, well, that's why you're unfit to be a legislator, Joe. Obviously, you've established that beyond a reasonable doubt. Hey, when we return, we're going to talk about fleeing Florida car thief who hits an alligator and crashes.
FSN Radio.
When your accountant wants tax-free income, this is what he does. Accountants know the law. They also know that any American could legally get paid up to 3 times per month, 100% tax-free. That's 36 tax-free checks each year. It doesn't matter what you make already. This simple strategy could work for anyone. Go to www.irsrevenge2.com to learn how. That's irsrevenge2.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
And we're back on the Financial Survival Network. We got Joe Messina from The Real Side. And Joe, so, we've got these Darwin Award people. They just seem to be multiplying like rabbits here. We got people in Florida and Colorado. They've discovered that if you use butane with marijuana, you can create hash oil. But they don't realize that you need ventilation in your home or you might blow the place up and kill yourself. And then we got this guy. We got people coming from all over the country to Florida for our lovely climate. He's a suspected auto thief. He was captured after the stolen car he was driving struck an alligator, and then he crashed the car. So what is going on here in the world here, Joe? I mean, we need this guy to come here from Connecticut. I think he's an illegal, potentially an illegal or undocumented Democrat. And he's in a car chase with the cops, runs over an alligator and crashes his car. I mean, where do we get these people from, Joe?
Well, first of all, you're giving these people way too much credit for having an IQ. Think about this. You come down to Florida. What makes you think that you'd run into an alligator in Florida? Yeah. Come on. What's wrong with you?
Well, here's the thing. His name, what the heck is his name? I mean, Calvin Rodriguez, he's only 22, so he's got time to learn. He grew up in a rough town in Connecticut, so he figured he'd come down to Florida.
He grew up in a rough town in Connecticut?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
I swear to God, that's what they said here. A tough town in Connecticut, but he learned how to steal cars there. And then he comes down to Port St. Lucie, Florida, and he's furthering his trade, and he steals a Honda, and the cops are chasing him, and, he wasn't ready for the alligator that jumped out in front of him, and boom, And then in Boca Raton, which is not too far from where I live, somebody's trying to make hash oil from marijuana, which, I guess they flunked their chemistry class, and they're doing it in their freezer, and they're using butane gas, and evidently it can be done, and boom, they blow the place up. Luckily, they didn't kill themselves, but then they get arrested by the cops. And this is happening in Colorado, where marijuana is legal now, which it isn't yet in Florida, and they're blowing up houses, evidently at an alarming rate in Colorado. So there is a downside to marijuana legalization.
I've got to know you, and I think you're a very intelligent man, but I'm surprised that you don't realize that you're giving these people credit for having an IQ above 3. I mean, these people. I mean, here are guys trying to make chemicals, probably flunked their chemistry class at school, the biology class or science class, and they're out there looking for a quick high that they don't have to pay for, or a high that would cost them a lot of money. God forbid they crack a book. I mean, there's that interweb thing where they can actually go look this stuff up. But they heard from their buddy on the corner, their fix guy, that you could do this and make it work, really, honestly. Give me the worst thing we did when we were kids, and I'm not admitting to anything because I don't know what the statute of limitations is on this stuff, but
it's expired. Don't worry. If you're anywhere near my age, it's expired. I promise you.
We used to roll up all the windows on the car. We'd pull behind the gas station. We'd light our bong and let all the smoke stay in the car because that was a really cool thing to do. At least we saw that on Cheech and Chong, and it looked like it was going to work out for us.
Yeah,
but, that was about the craziest we got.
Well, these must be the same people who are behind hashtag diplomacy, because, it seems equally as brilliantly inspired, doesn't it?
Yeah, I try to give the American people, now my wife says I don't, but I try to give the American people the benefit of the doubt. And it's really interesting how, and I was telling you earlier, in my day, your day, in our parents' day, when we were wronged overseas, when we were wronged by an enemy, our parents were running to sign up for the military. I want to help the country. I want to help right this wrong. Now what we have a group of people that want to help this country. And let me tell you what, man, when something goes wrong, like the girls that were all grabbed, those Christian girls that were grabbed to be sold into slavery, we ran right to our computers and started hashtagging the crap out of the Boko Haram. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm sure we scared him to the point he saw those hashtags coming across his screen, and I'm sure he was trembling in his boots.
Might have crashed his smartphone, right? And where's Slim Pickens when you need him, right?
Well, the problem with this is, as you said, if we can take down their smartphones, then they can't set off any roadside bombs anymore. So maybe we are doing the right thing. I don't know, but I mean, seriously, the Twitter, what do we call it when the Twitter hashtag went to the top of the list of 2 in those 2 days was "Save Our Girls" and "Bring Back Our Girls." And I am sure that when the terrorists saw this, they were thinking, maybe we should. We're teeing off the American populace, and I think, maybe look at these hashtags. We should bring them right back. Right? Really?
Yeah.
God,
I'm sure they were.
Nuts.
It was inspirational.
If this, forgive me, but if this is what's inspiring our young people, and this is how they fight back, you and I are in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, well, luckily we should be gone by the time something happens, so we can only hope, so. Right? We can only hope. Oh, man. And, so what about that woman who wanted to celebrate Mother's Day, but she preferred to abort than carry to term?
Yeah, this is really, she's really weird. She wrote a piece for the Huffington Post, which should be your first 12 clues right there. So she gets a piece up on the Huffington Post, and she says she really thinks it's a bad thing that we don't allow her to celebrate Mother's Day, even though she's had an abortion, because she's a mother to so many other kids. She hugs other kids. She changes the diapers of other kids. And, she helps mothers figure out, how to raise their children. So it's an oppressive day for people who've had abortions. It's an oppressive day for people who don't have children. So Mother's Day either should be wiped out, or it should include anybody who's had a fetus in their body or who is thinking about getting pregnant somewhere down the line. And, it's really interesting how they continually want to, push down the negative side of abortion. They don't want to admit to what it actually really is. And the bottom line with it is, she's saying, even though I had an abortion, I should be able to celebrate Mama Day because I could have been.
Yeah.
This is that left thinking that just throws me into a spiral. I look at that and go, my God, how do you figure that? I could have been a contender, right? I could have been a mama.
I could have been somebody.
Yeah, but see, this is the choice thing. You chose not to be. You don't get the trophy for choosing not to do, for choosing not to practice, for choosing. We've raised up those kids in the early '80s, and I've done so many shows around this where we did away. Remember with the scorekeeping, we did away with the A through Fs. We did away with really giving kids different levels of marks for their achievement.
Yeah, and
so why bother trying?
Right, and every kid on the soccer team gets a trophy now, right?
Well, what about the Olympics? Why don't we just give everybody a gold medal? You think about the days that we would save, the money we would save, the aggravation we would save at airports and stuff. I mean, think of the mentality behind that. Yeah. We don't want you to be better. We want you all to be the same so everybody feels good. Well, guess what? When everybody's the same, I don't think anybody feels good.
Yeah, you got that right. And, that's everybody wearing a Nehru jacket in Maoist China, right? At least you don't have any wardrobe competition, right?
No. And again, how do you get the Bill Gateses of the world, the Einsteins of the world, the Edisons of the world, if we're not asking our kids to line up with reality? Try harder. Try to be better than the guy next to you. Not that you're a better person or a better human being, but you're better at math, you're better at science. That's okay to do. You're better at football. It's okay.
Yeah, and not that you need to compete to be better. You can compete just for the satisfaction that you're doing something better, not that you're better than someone else, which I think is
right.
I'll
take the gold, right? Though. I'm good with the gold. Yeah, I'm shooting to be better because I want the gold.
Your personal best, to be the best person that you can be. That should be enough. And if you happen to be better than everybody else at the Tour de France, even if you are taking steroids or blood doping, however you get there, just so you're the best that you can be. And if everyone else is taking steroids and blood doping too, and you happen to be the best at it, then you're the best. That's all that matters, right?
Yeah. Any way to get there, cheat, lie, steal, whatever. You got to be on top. But I often say to people, look, if you gave something your best and you came in number 3 or 4, that is a reward in and of itself if you think about it. Because you might have been really bad at this particular thing you've done over the years, and you've gotten better every year. You move up and you do a little better and you try a little harder. That's a real win. But as you were just saying now, if you cheat to get where you get and you come out on top, I can't imagine that's got to be a hollow victory. Anybody with an inkling, it's got to be a hollow victory.
Unless everybody else is cheating too, and then you had a fair fight, right?
Okay, all right.
In which case, then basically it was everybody's talent because you had the same cheating opportunity. But hey, can you hold over for another segment here,
Sure.
Joe? Hey, great.
Sure.
So when we come back, I want to talk about cash, what's going on with that, and that it's no longer king on the Financial Survival Network.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Warning, you might live in a no constitution zone. It's the shocking story you won't see on TV. Depending upon where you live in the United States, you may no longer have constitutional rights. Politicians are quietly squeezing the middle class to micromanage you and extract your wealth. Want to see how? Watch the free video at noconstitutionzone.com. Soon, you'll have the last laugh by using these cultural contraband tricks and profit like a king. That's noconstitutionzone.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
We're back with Joe Messina of therealside.com on the Financial Survival Network. So, Joe, I don't know if you caught this study on bankrate.com about cash, about how few people are really carrying it. We've talked about it on the show here before. 40% of Americans carry less than $20, if you can believe it. And there's 1 in 10 people don't carry any cash in their pocket. So listen to this. 29% of the people carry 20 to 50 bucks. 12% carry 50 to 100, 5% 100 to 250 bucks, 2% more than 250, and 9% don't carry any cash at all, like I said, and 2% wouldn't even mention how much they carry. So,
those must be the drug dealers.
Yeah, well, it doesn't apply. It doesn't apply. And what are the whole point here is, Joe, the government wants to get rid of cash, okay? Because then they can track everything. every cent that you spend, because then what are you going to be reduced to? You'll have to give people gift cards, or you're going to have to do something, or gold bars or silver coins. Basically, they want to get rid of cash. And you see, if you've been to an ATM lately, you don't get those new crisp bills that you used to get years ago. You get these crummy dog-eared bills that are fit for the garbage. They're just not producing those new bills anymore. If they are producing them, they're hiding them. I'll tell you that, because you're just not seeing them.
Nowhere near the numbers they used to. Yeah.
But they're not doing it.
Let me ask you, I'm probably in that 20% that I almost never have money in my pocket. I might have, $5. I actually am embarrassed at times because I don't have $2 to give somebody a tip when I'm going, in and out of a facility or what have you. But you're right. They've got us so used to using the debit card, the plastic, whatever it is you're doing. When I pay bills online, I mean, how many checks do you really write anymore? Think about that.
None. One a month I write. Well, a couple others.
Yeah.
Business, you write them. But one a month for the rent. And really, I don't even have to write that one, but I just choose to. But pretty much no checks, and everything is automated payments, and paper money is going to be no more soon. But I like to carry cash. You go to Taco Bell and they take plastic, right? You go to Taco Bell and McDonald's, and did you notice something else, Kerry, that I don't know if there's a limit to this? A lot of places don't even ask you to sign the cards anymore. No. Yeah, that's
Somebody
true.
has decided that it's worth the risk, up to a certain amount of dollars, I guess, to not have you sign the card or do the not the debit thing, but a regular charge thing where you don't sign. I think that's amazing too. Think of the self-checkouts now at the stores where you just you slide your card through there and they don't know you from Adam. You're signing a screen, and does a screen check your signature? I doubt it.
Hey,
you're right. They're turning it cashless. And
that brings us to the next topic, which is: did your McDonald's burger flipper go out on strike the other day?
No, because I go to Burger King. Just don't tell anybody.
You're not supposed to, Joe. You're not supposed to mention that because their fries aren't as good. Don't you know that?
But they went out on strike, and give me the scoop here.
Yeah, well, look, your next flipper is going to be an automated flipper because they're not going to pay them $15 an hour. In New York, they pay them $9-10 an hour because nobody in New York City works for the minimum wage. And I would venture to say that in most of California, in the major cities on the left coast, nobody is working for the minimum wage at these fast food stores. They're working $8, $9, $10 an hour anyway because you can't get anybody to work for the minimum wage there. Is my guess. Correct?
Well, you're right. A lot of these kids, guys, whatever, they're making above minimum wage, $9-10 an hour. And again, it costs more money to live. But I want to this is not a living wage job. That's something that irritates me to no end. It's when you talk about Burger King, McDonald's, Taco Bell, we were just talking about it. Those jobs that teach you how to work. How's that? How to work in an environment with other people, how to show up on time for work, how to take your breaks.
Entry level.
Bingo. I don't know, any entry-level job, even, when I was in the tech world, even entry-level jobs there, as much as the average person doesn't know about computers, even the entry-level jobs there were $15 an hour, $18 an hour for people who eventually, in that same position, could make $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 a year. But you're useless to me until I know you can work, until I know you know how to treat people, you know how to troubleshoot equipment at that level. People have lost that. It's that entitlement mentality. It's gone from welfare to your job. Who was that group that was trying, a couple of years back, was trying to push that you got $20 for unemployment an hour, right? Or you got $20 as a minimum wage. And I'm thinking, are you that stupid? Yeah, not ignorant, stupid. Because why would I go to work if I could make $20 an hour just hanging on the couch?
Mm-hmm. It's called disincentives to work. And when, there's certain states where when you add in, I think there's 12 or 14 states that the benefits under welfare and all the other programs, when you throw them in food stamps, EBT cards, whatever you want to call them, you wind up making more not working than going to work. And in fact, in the UK and England, they got rid of these disincentives, and they found that they took 450,000 families off of what they call the dole, which is what they used to call it here at once upon a time. They took them off the dole, which is a derogatory term, which we should go back to these derogatory terms. And those people actually got jobs, Joe. Can you imagine that? They actually started working.
Forced them to, they forced them to work? Oh, my God. We can't have that.
No.
You know, it's and you're right. You know, we're so worried about people feeling bad. Look, people who are honestly on, my day, right, food stamps, government cheese, as a place to help out, right? Bump in your life. You're looking for more work. Company went out of business. They should never feel bad about that. And shame on someone who makes them feel bad about being in this temporary position. But when you're on it 5 years, 8 years, 10 years, you're really milking it. You actually made a career out of learning how to use this stuff. That's the person that should be shamed. That's the one that should be made to feel bad about being on, having an EBT card that actually has their name printed on it because they've had it for so long.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And the people that sell those cards and use them to buy drugs and use them at strip clubs. I mean, they found in your state that they were paying off millions of dollars for people in Hawaii and Vegas because evidently those cards weren't geo-restricted and you could travel and cash them in. And perhaps there might be something wrong with that, Joe, you think?
Oh, the best one was this. They tried to pass a law where you couldn't use the cards in a strip club's ATM machine. And and one particular party out here was arguing, saying, look, if you're going in there to get cash out of an ATM machine in a strip club, there's a 99.9% chance that you're using that cash for one thing and one thing only. And the other party came out and said, now you can't make that assumption.
You can't?
Or you can't make it assumption. So what are you telling me? There's no ATM machine in the 7-Eleven on the corner, but 2 doors away in the strip club is the only ATM machine for 20 miles around?
But why should you be able to use a EBT card for cash anyway? I thought you were only supposed to use it to buy groceries.
Well, here's what they've done in California.
Am I wrong about that, Joe? Am I missing something?
You're right on. Do you remember we used to go to the grocery store with food stamps, and they would actually separate the product, right? You could buy it with
alcohol, and you shouldn't be able to buy dog food with it. Oh, well, maybe should your dog be on food stamps? I mean, that's a pressing issue here that we need to address, Joe. Should your dog be able to get food stamps? Should Fido get food stamps?
Yeah, you're going to get bad calls here, but here's the deal. You have no business having a dog if you're on food stamps, because you're trying to get your family
you're really un-American here, Joe.
And the only place, I did a story on this, we are the only country in the world that kind of glorifies, holds up their dogs and their cats almost as humans. Other countries, forgive me, feed their families with these animals. When you're starving to death, the guy on the corner, forgive me,
so cruel here.
I know.
Really
the guy on the corner who's standing there and say, I need money for food, and there's his dog next to him. I'm thinking to myself, no, you're going to feed the dog with this food. I know you want companionship. Find another buddy. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not feeding both of you. I'll buy you a sandwich, but not the dog.
Yeah, well, there's definitely
right?
There's something really wrong here. There's something really malfunctioning in this economic system. No wonder it's going down the tubes. No wonder. So who's starving worse? Is it the public that's starving or the dog starving here? I don't understand here, Joe.
And listen, you got to, and these aren't little dogs. Usually, you see these guys, right? They got these big German shepherds or these big dogs with long coats on them, and I'm thinking, you're doing that dog a disservice. You're not taking care of it, let alone yourself. The dog needs to be groomed and washed, and I don't know how much water or food it's getting. You really need this in your life right now. And the other thing, a friend of mine has an RV repair place, and he's been around forever. And it's one of those places where you get some transients coming in and out and what have you. And he'll tell guys that he knows have been sleeping outside the gate, go, look, you obviously need some food or what have you. I need the gate swept down, or I need something swept down or washed or whatever, and I'll buy you lunch. I'll take you somewhere and buy you lunch. They don't want to work.
They don't.
No. Just give me the money, and I'll go buy my own lunch. And he just looks at him and says, "Are you telling me you won't sweep or hose down my windows for $5? Is that what you're saying? What are we doing to ourselves?"
Get lost. And hey, well, let's do another segment on the Financial Survival Network with Joe Messina.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Urgent alert. Ex-Secret Service agent claims it's worse than people know. One of Obama's former Secret Service agents recently smelled a rat. What he discovered inside our government was so devastating, he only saw one option. He quit. What's worse, he fears what he found could affect your job, your neighborhood, and most importantly, your family, very soon. It's worse than people know, he said in a recent interview, and I'm not trying to scare you either. We too share his concerns. This is why we've devoted the better part of 3 years collecting solutions for nearly all problems created by intrusive governments, and we've succeeded. Go to hiddensecrets1.info to check out all the details. Our panel of insiders have devised a legal but sneaky set of solutions to help you reclaim your privacy from the NSA, opt out of Obamacare, and make a bundle from little-known investments and small business opportunities. Simply visit hiddensecrets1.info. That's Hidden Secrets, the number 1.info.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
And we are back on the Financial Survival Network. We're talking with Joe Messina of therealside.com. So, Joe, back to serious matters here. We got a select committee in the House on this Benghazi Gate matter. Anything going to come of it?
I love talking with you. You're such an optimist.
I didn't say I was optimistic.
And the dollar's going to come back strong too.
I didn't say that.
Look, I love the fact that the Democrats are not stepping up to, whether you believe in the cause or not, put your people on the panel. Okay, put your people on the committee. That way, you'll have your ammunition to say it wasn't conducted right, or it wasn't this, or it wasn't that. But I haven't seen one committee yet come out of Washington, D.C. that had any teeth, that actually, whatever the findings were, we acted on. Think about all the committees that the president himself has put together. He totally ignored the findings of the committee. So I think the only thing it's going to do, if they drag it out, it'll have an effect on the 2014 election. At least I hope it does. I hope people will pay attention enough to see we were lied to. I don't care what party you belong to. We were lied to, and 4 men died.
Yeah.
Right?
That is true.
And nothing.
That is true. And, I hope it does make a difference, because Hillary Clinton says, what difference does it make? And, she's gotten away with that for a long time. And maybe it's time that she was held accountable for one of her screw ups, which have been legendary, haven't they?
Well, yeah. It's funny because lately I've been getting a lot of emails from my listeners on her being fired over the Watergate event. I don't know if some people know it, but she was involved in in some of the investigations during those times. And you know what she was fired for? Lying.
Yeah.
She was fabricating information to nail what's his name, Nixon.
Yeah.
And she was fabricating information, and finally they said, once, twice, okay, 30. You know what? You're done. We can't keep. We want to investigate him, not you. And you're putting us in a really bad position here. She wouldn't stop. So she's never even. She didn't fight that, but she's never even fessed up, even in the last 10, 15 years, to say, look, it was a bad part of my life. I did something really stupid. I've learned and I've moved on. They haven't even said that. And you know how forgiving the American people are. I mean, they would take that. You know what? She's fessed up, and we've moved on now.
Yeah. So, hey, speaking of other losers, so Obamacare. I'm sitting at a restaurant in Delray Beach, Florida, with a friend of mine who I've had on the show numerous times, and he raised a valid question that I haven't really thought of, because I do believe that eventually Obamacare has got to go, and it will go. I don't see it being a long-term fixture on the scene. It's going to be done away with. What do you think is going to come next?
I was reading an article a couple of days ago that was written maybe 2 years ago, or almost 2 years ago now.
On a more serious vein, I might add.
Yeah. And it can't sustain itself. So one of two things is going to happen. Either one is, I hate to say this, if we don't get control, if the Republicans don't get control again and do something this time, you're going to get to a single-payer program. There's no way around it. Mm-hmm. The tentacles are going to get so deep into the insurance industry that you're not going to be able to back them up because you know how complex those systems are. So if we don't slow it down, pull it back, or what have you before it gets that deep into it, they are going to have to work with it. Or number two is, when I grew up as a kid in Boston, the north end of Boston, there were clinics all over the place. So you didn't have to go running to the emergency room every time something happened. And people who had little or no insurance could go to these clinics and they would pay what they could pay for services, and the government subsidized it. I get it. Mm-hmm. But there weren't these paperwork things that had to be filled out, tons of paperwork that had to be filled out and sent out and be approved by committees and all that. And it worked well. Walmart stepped up to the plate, I think, 18 months ago? You may even know about this. Right. And they said, listen, we might be able to help with this. We have a major store within 20 minutes of every metropolitan area in the country. We have, eyeglass services. We have these kind of service, that kind of service. There'd be nothing for us to put clinics in these places. Mm-hmm. And that way everybody could get, you got a cold, you get a little back pain, you get a little sprain. These are all things that can be easily taken care of in a clinic environment. Yeah. And the government turned them down flat out. Wouldn't even work with them. Wouldn't entertain anything that Walmart was willing to put on the table.
Well, they might actually turn a profit, God forbid. Right? Can't have that happening.
Sure, we got to do a whole show around why profit is not bad and what it actually does for the economy and for the company that's making the profit. We get so caught up in what the CEOs make. Yeah. That we don't see the R&D that goes in, the equipment repair and maintenance. And here's one that'll make you pop an eyeball. In California, the governor's looking at a law or looking at a bill to fine and tax corporations whose CEOs make more than 50 times the lowest paid employee. Mm. All right, think about what that does. Texas better be building all kinds of pads for industrial facilities.
That's right. You lost Toyota there. That was what is the state thinking about that, Joe? You lost Toyota after 50 years. Now, I'm just sorry that New York didn't lose a big corporation because, let's look at Rick Perry, okay? He's perceived as a complete moron by the left. Like a dumber guy couldn't exist. Part of it is his fault because he botched those presidential debates, whether he was on painkillers. I don't know what his excuse is. Not the brightest bulb on the tree. And then you've got Andy Cuomo, superior intellect, truly one of the most brilliant men out there. Forget about his precipitation and his participation in the subprime real estate bust. Had a major role in there, but we won't talk about that because he is Andy Cuomo. And the moron challenges the brilliant one to a debate, and Cuomo says no. But Cuomo's so brilliant, he could have beaten him in this debate with his hands tied behind his back because he's so brilliant and his policies are so much better, never mind the fact that Texas is growing about 10 times the rate that New York State is growing at, even with Wall Street and all this freshly printed fake money flowing into the New York economy. But no, Cuomo can't be bothered debating a moron, even though he could beat him at this debate with his hands tied behind his back and probably with his mouth gagged. Right? Got to wonder about that, don't you, Joe?
Well, I love it when they say Perry and they talk about Texas and job creation. They go, hey, but they're all low-wage jobs. They're they're lower-end. Really? And you're proud of the president of these United States touting how many jobs we're creating here, which are mostly part-time, low-wage, no-insurance jobs. That's okay.
Yeah, but most of those
part-time, low-wage, no-insurance jobs are okay. But in Texas, the low-wage insurance jobs, that's not so good.
But And it's not true that most of those jobs in Texas are low-wage jobs, my friend, who shall go by the pseudonym of Dr. Frack, petroleum engineer. You know, it's a mid-six-figure job. He's managing 500 people, and the people under him are all six-figure earners. And it's just a lie that all those jobs are low-wage jobs. There's plenty of low-wage jobs for plenty of low-skill people who are in Texas, but don't believe that all of them are low-wage. And those jobs coming from California and Toyota are not low-wage jobs.
No, they're not. You're exactly right. You know, and the other thing they forget, I love how people on the left always try to push on guys like me. You know, people need to feel good about what they're doing. They can't feel good at minimum wage. They, you know, this, that, and the other thing. And I'm thinking, you know, if you go talk to somebody who has a full-time job and they can provide for their families, and even if it's, you know, like you say, an entry-level job, or if they can provide for their families, even if they're just getting by, in today's economy especially, they're feeling good about themselves. They're feeling good that they can put food on the table. They know this isn't the end of the world for them, that they're going to be looking for either for another job or to move up in the company. You know, it's about what we were talking about earlier. I'm going to try harder. I may have 20 guys in my department, but I want to make sure that my supervisor sees that I'm the one that's there on time. I'm the one that doesn't leave till the job's done. I'm busted hump, and I'm worthy of a raise. I'm worthy of a promotion. We've kind of lost that mindset, which really, that's what scares me more than anything else. Your comments about New York, New York has got to be one of the most frustrating and confusing states there is. I'm watching advertisements in California about coming to New York and being tax-free for 10 years. However, then we've got, you know, Dr. de Blasio there. I mean, I don't even know what to call that.
Comrade.
Yeah, there you go, Comradsky. And he's talking about pumping up the tax rate on corporations that do business in New York City because they need more money for more free things for the people that won't work.
Yeah, universal
How does
pre-K.
this work?
Yeah, well, It doesn't work, and that's why New York City is now on Moody's credit watch with a negative future outcome or future disposition, and you know where that's going to head. He went from a 70% approval rating. This de Blasio, they loved him and all this other stuff. What's he down now to 12 in a record time? Yeah, and more on that ahead. So, got to wrap up. Joe, just tell us where we find you, radio stations, website.
Yeah, all you do is hop on the website, therealside.com. You can find out the radio stations times, pick up the podcast, just have real fun on the site. That's what I want. I want you to get informed.
Just like we did here, and financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Link to Joe's site. You'll find it there. Joe, we'll do it again soon. You be well.
You too.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.